Hello team, welcome back. Today I am working on this challenge, the 3-column preview card from Frontend Mentor. And I really like this challenge for a couple reasons. On the one hand, it breaks our traditional card pattern. So you'll see me absolutely not do the card pattern that we've seen in almost every other video that uses a card. We also have some other things like this space here between the button uh, um, and the content, and the fact that these cards actually touch each other while still having a rounded corner. Now it is completely responsive, so if I bring that up really fast, you'll see that at some point it will just naturally break to a single column, which is also very interesting. This happens without any sort of media queries, so we're going to be exploring how to do this. I've touched on it before in previous videos, but it's going to become a central part of the challenge as well. And then finally, the challenge actually gives us these icons pre-colored. So just like previous videos, I'm going to try and think outside the box and make sure that whatever color I use for these, it's going to work, okay? And when I say color, I mean two different colors. So this color and this color, okay? So that's where we're headed, and we are going to totally do that right over here. For some reason, I had the style file open. I've already started to clean some of this up. So here's our markup, and we are just going to get into it. Now, at the top of these, we have a few headings. So we can actually grab these, wrap them, and put them in an H2, okay? Just like every other card. We usually use H2 because I'm under the impression that there's probably other content around this, and I want to stay the course on that, okay? Now, because we've done that, I can very quickly select these, multiple cursors for the win, down arrow, back to the start of this line, dropping down, getting the entire line of text, and wrapping this in a paragraph tag, okay? So there's that. And then the other thing that we're going to do is right behind it, if it'll let me. There we go. So same thing right behind it. We're going to use those. I didn't grab enough. There we go. Multiple cursors again, making it a little bit bigger so that we can see it. And if I arrow down to right here, we're going to add a link. Okay, so that's an A tag. We're going to send it to nowhere. That's the number sign, not the dollar sign. And then over here, we're going to type learn more. And for some reason, they do have a capital M more, even though it should be sentence like, probably should be lowercase. That's a preference, okay? The last thing that we want to do is jump to the end of this. So after the closing A tag, use the up arrows while selecting to grab everything. And now we're going to wrap it in that card tag, okay? So this is going to be, again, we're going to wrap it, and it's going to be article.card, okay? Perfect, right? That's the content. So now we need to take care of the image. And you'll notice that we did not wrap this in its own content div, okay? So already breaking the pattern that we've used in the past, but here we go, okay? What I want to do is I want to add the SVG here. In fact, I want to add it to all of them, so I can quickly grab these again, go to the end, add a little space, and the SVGs are all over here in images. So we have the sedan, which we can open with, text editor to get that. Sorry, not wrap with abbreviation, but format, which was the second one, shows how often I'm using it. Select all, copy that, bringing it back and pasting it right here, okay? One thing that I want to do is I want to get rid of this opacity, but everything else can stay the same. The only reason for that is because we're going to control the fill with its own opacity. So we are staying ahead of the game. Doing it for the other ones. So the next one is not sedan, but SUV, which is right here. So open with, text editor, format it, copy it, bring it back, Brilliant. And again, getting rid of opacity. Done. Okay. Saving it. It's reformatting. That's okay. The last one was luxury. So open with a little bit of repeat going on here, but it's what we got to do. Okay. So scrolling down to luxury. Oh, it reformatted. So all of my space went away. That's okay. Paste it in, get rid of the opacity. Done. Okay. We're almost there. We almost have all the markup we need. One thing that I do want to do is on the SVGs, I do want to add a class just so that we can control a little bit later on. So again, I'm going to use multiple cursors, jump to the end and add a class equal to card image. Okay. It would be really nice if it was in the quotes. Let's try that again. Card image. Okay. Got it. Final thing. Here is the final thing. We are going to wrap it all up. So from the very first article to the very last closing article, select it all and wrap it in our challenge wrapper. Okay. So main.challenge wrapper. And then inside of there, I'm going to add a div with a class of cards plural. Okay. Which means that now we can style and hook into that. Okay. At this point, sorry about that. At this point, we can open that up and see what's going on. So right here, we have open index and we have something that looks very ugly. Okay. But we have the links, we have everything going on. We can start to style this. If we were doing this traditionally, this is a good place to commit. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going. Okay. So back to styles. We can get rid of these. It's going to ask to save because can I just, yes, let's Command Z and close it. Excellent. So styles, I have just a few, not as many as usual for our tokens. Okay. I have black. That's going to be used for that circle that we clobbered the opacity on. White, it's not a true white, but close enough. That's for all of our text. And then we have our three different colors. Okay. So our main color is whatever the 600 level is. That is orange, blue, and green, right? And then the icon color, which is the 200. It's the lighter color. Okay. So all those colors are in there. We have space. For the most part, it follows the 8-point grid or the 4-point grid really, really well. I did notice that I needed one little extra. That's 10 pixels. We'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, they are all there. Fonts. Let's talk about fonts for a second. In fact, I'm going to jump ahead because you'll notice that this says big shoulders. But I'm going to switch over to the style guide where it actually uses big shoulders display. And here's our first problem. This challenge hasn't been updated in a while. And so if I go and try to select big shoulders display, whoops, it's not there. Why isn't it there? Well, when this challenge was first created, they probably didn't have variable fonts, right? And most of the Google fonts have been updated to be variable fonts. The good thing is there is a different form of big shoulders. So we can go big shoulders just like this and see that we have three different versions. Now the one that we want, okay, inline has some tricky little lines in here, right? It looks like a kind of a billboard or an old 30s sort of style, I guess. I'm guessing there. We have this stencil one. We don't want that. So we just want big shoulders, okay? We're going to do that. We're going to get it. And we have all these styles. Now, the challenge here is that it wants, if we go back for a second, it wants weight of 700, okay? And I'm here to tell you that weight of 700 is very, very thick. It should be, let's change this for a second to 40 pixels, okay? Right about there, okay? And 700 is just way too heavy. What we need is probably 400 or 500. So today I'm going to go with 400, but you might find you need a little bit more. It's totally your decision. So we can make it work, right? Using not the display version, but the regular version, and then paring it down and doing some micro adjustments. And I'll talk about that in a second too. So big shoulders, get the font, go back. We're going to find Lex and Deca, get that font, go over. We have too many tabs open, but we have these two. So now the embed code, we only need one weight for each of these. So we can go 400, yes, and 400, perfect. Okay. Copy that, bring it back to the code, up to the HTML, right above our style sheet link, and done. Okay. So, yeah, it doesn't use display. That's the important thing. Okay. Display no longer exists. We need to use just big shoulders. Okay. Whatever that is. And then Lex and Deca, we're only using the one weight. Again, if you wanted to, you could add a 500 in here. Okay. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. Okay. In my tests, it was pretty close, so I'm going to stay with it. Font size, we only have two font sizes, so they're there. Line height, we have normal and the one for the body, which is 1.6 repeating. Okay. Border radius, all of our tier 2 tokens. You'll notice that the icon circle is in here. Okay. So we have the icons and the backgrounds. Okay. Backgrounds are all those 600 weight colors. Icons are all the 200 weight colors. And then the circle is black with a reduced opacity. Okay. Scrolling down to typographies. So this is where we put all those tokens to good use. So we have those two, making the radius a little easier to use. Max width, we've seen that before. It's kind of a big size, but we need it. And this one is a little bit new, min height. Okay. So if we switch back really fast, there is, in order to make this work, there is a min height for the entire block, not for the smaller view, right? But for the entire block, for cards, plural, there is a min height, which is how we get this space between the button and the body, okay? And then when it gets taller than that min height, then everything kind of collapses down. So that's what we want. That's what that token is for. We'll see that in a bit. A few basic styles in here, right? Our really simple reset, our body, our H2. So the H2, again, slightly different font, right? And that's important to remember because with display, they tend to add a little bit of letter spacing or change the letter spacing so that it works better on posters, okay? So with that, I have spaced it out just a little bit more, and it looks quite nice that way, I think. And then our SVG, we have that. So looking pretty good, okay? Save it, go back, refresh, not this one, but this one over here, okay? And everything is already starting to take shape. So at this point, we need some compositions, right? The first two we've seen before, so I'm just going to paste those in. Pretty standard stuff. We have our flow control. I've used that in almost every single video I've recorded, right? And the challenge wrapper, which you've seen just so much, okay? So those are in there. We save it, refresh it, and yeah, it's already starting to take shape, right? It's working. Now from here, I want these cards to be side by side, but I also want them to break down to a single column at a certain size. So we start side by side, and then all three of them break. And the key to this is something called what was it called? The Holy Albatross. I almost forgot that. The Holy Albatross by Hayden Pickering, okay, which was extended into a very handy tool by Andy Bell. Andy Bell and Hayden created a site called Every Layout, which is what I'm calling the father of compositions, right? So very handy stuff. But inside of this article on Piccalilli, a simple masonry composable layout, Andy actually wrote about this a little bit. So down in here, I encourage you to go and read it, but down in here, if we scroll far enough, we will find the switcher, okay? The switcher does exactly that. It uses this thing called the Holy Albatross, which is, again, a very weird name. But you'll notice some just very large math. So it's either a very large positive number or a very large negative number. And depending on that, it will either be a single column of items or a full row, right? You'll never have a single item wrapped to an odd line, okay? We are going to totally steal this and put it right under flow, okay? The only change that I make to this is this gutter here. Just to stay consistent with our other things, I'm going to change it to switcher-space, okay? That's a preference. We're actually going to zero this out in a little while, but for the moment, this does a thing, and we can totally use these. Back to our HTML. Let's find cards, okay? Cards is where we use switcher. Be sure to add that space, otherwise it's not going to work. And then right here on card, there are 3 of them. So multiple cursors for the win and flow, okay? Save it, back to our styles, open it up, and things are looking really good. We have some nice space in here, no space between the link because the link is not a block level element. So it doesn't yet reflect the margins, right? It's inline. So it doesn't respect any margin you put on it. We will fix that along with all of our colors and stuff like that. We will get there, okay? So let's go and add some other styles. Right here, I'm going to start by adding cards, okay? And on cards, we are going to add just a bunch of styles, okay? Those styles start by adjusting our switcher, okay? So we're going to do that right out front. Right here, we have switcher space, right? We're going to set that to 0. Brilliant. We have the switcher vertical. If I could just go and grab these. Switcher vertical alignment, okay? Which really should, when we do Flexbox, it defaults to stretch. So we're actually resetting it back to its original state, which is kind of interesting there, but that's okay, okay? And then switcher container width. This is the width where it switches from being horizontal to vertical, okay? And for some reason, when I was doing this, I found the sweet spot to be 47 rem. Bit of a magic number, but you can play with this. Like if you want to see how it changes, switch it to 50, switch it back to 45. You will see the buttons kind of break funny if it's smaller than this, and or if it's bigger than this, and it goes the other way if it's smaller. So something to play around with. But for now, I'm going with 47 rem. Okay. Moving down, we have that min height. So here it is. That min height is dash height. Where is it here? Min height. Yes. We have our border radius, which is dash radius default. Yes. And here's the deal. Okay. We want that radius to apply whether it's vertical or whether it's horizontal. So depending on where it is, we don't want to be setting this radius for each individual card. So here we set overflow hidden, and then no matter which direction it is, our main radius is going to work. So this is very handy. We get away with quite a bit with just these 6 rules, okay? We are not going to see really anything. It's just kind of starting to collapse here, but we will start to see this change, okay? Based on that, let's go down, dot card, Okay, so now we are doing the individual cards. Okay, again, we have flow space because we put that flow on there. That is going to be quite big, actually. So var dash dash 450. Excellent. Okay, that is 36 pixels. It's, again, very big. Okay, and then inside of here, I want to add in at least one, just one more. Okay, so it's going to be card background color. And same thing. So if we have a custom color, card dash bg dash color like this, or silver. Let's make it gray. I'm feeling adventurous today. Okay, gray is a little bit darker than silver, so we will do that. This will let us control our colors later on, so this is a good thing. We're going to add in another one in a bit, but right here. Okay. From there, we can go background color, which is that background color. Okay, no real magic there. Color is going to be dash dash white, yes, which is that off-white. We're going to run with it. Padding is dash dash space 600. So very, very large spacing on this one, right? It's 48 pixels. If we jump over here, right? 48 pixels, and same here. Even, I mean, that's a rounding error, but 48 pixels. Okay, so we're totally going to do that. What else do we need? We need display flex. We need to set that to flex direction column, and we need align items start. Okay, so let's talk about these last three right here. First, we can go and review it. This is what it starts to look like. You'll see some space in here. Everything's starting to take shape. But why did we do display flex? Okay. Display flex will allow us to make sure that this button is always attached to the bottom without having to do like position absolute or anything like that. You'll see that in a few seconds here. At the same time, if we had done display flex, if we had done our traditional card pattern, then we would have had to subtract out some of this space. It doesn't quite work, right? Because the height of this is already 100%. We can see that. Turn this off for a second, and if I can highlight some of these, you'll see that the purple is the space that the Flexbox is already doing. Okay, it's just doing that naturally. But what we really want is to be able to drive this thing down. Okay, so the height of this box is already 100%. If we had done it the traditional way, we would have had to do the card as display flex as column, and then the contents as display flex as column. It gets very messy in a hurry, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I only did it, or that's why I put the icon in here. Hopefully that makes sense. But skipping the pattern so that I have better control over the vertical spacing of these items. That's why I did this. Okay. Going back, we are into the code. Okay. So everything is set to column, and now we can start to style some of these. So first up is the SVG. Okay. Could I have nested these? Yes, it's going to get busy in a hurry. So I don't like to go too deep with native nesting in CSS, which is why I'm breaking this out to its own thing. But circle, okay, the circle has a fill. That fill is a variable. We've already set this. It is content icon, content icon circle, okay, right there. And then the other one, okay, is path. Now, on path, we want to set a custom color. So what we should do is we should go underscore dash dash underscore path dash fill dash color, just like this, spelling it the American way. and dash dash path dash fill dash color. Okay. Or tomato, right? Just why not? Okay. Just something really obvious to show us that, hey, there's something wrong here. Okay. If we use that right here before I go and show you what's what, okay, we have dash dash path. Let's go and use it. Brilliant. Okay. So icons are in. We'll be able to color this really, really easily, but things are starting to take shape. So this is good. Okay. There is one spot in here. So we have that card. And then after the H2, whatever the H2 is, the spacing changes. So looking over here, the space between the icon, let's zoom in, okay? The space between the icon and the heading is 36 pixels. I'm going to assume that's a rounding error, okay? 36 pixels, which was our 450. But then the space between the heading and the text is 25 pixels. And if we go over to our mobile size, our smaller size, okay, same thing here, 25 pixels and 25 pixels. Now, I'm all about that 4-point grid, 8-point grid, so I've made it 24 pixels. But in order to do that, we need to get every item that comes after the H2. And that's what the tilde does. Plus would only get the very next one, but the tilde gets all of the ones that come after the H2, okay? So right here, grabbing that, and dash dash flow dash space is dash dash space 300, okay? That's all we need there. And what'll happen is the things afterwards, this space will be nice and big, but every other space afterwards will be 24. It'll be really nice, okay? While we're here, let's move down. We now have the link, okay? And the link gets bunches of stuff, okay? Maybe we should have set like a class of button on that or something like that, but for now, let's just do it. So text decoration none. We have display block, okay? And as soon as we do display block, right? Actually, it's already working because of how some of this is working, but just making sure that it will accept all of those margins, okay? So getting that done, we have color, okay? The color here is going to be dash dash BG color, yes, okay? We can use the internal one because all of this is internal, okay? Or you can leave it off. It's totally up to you, okay? Whatever you want. I'm going to leave it in there and move on. So background color is dash dash white, I believe. Did I leave it as white? Yes, I did. Excellent. Okay. Border radius. Okay. Here's a weird trick. Okay. So the border radius, if we set this to 50%, okay, this is going to look like a hot mess for a second, but look at that. Okay. It becomes an oval. And that's because it's going 50% of the length and then 50% of the height to get this this elliptical shape. Okay, we don't want that, so we need a number in here. Now, if we knew the height, right, then we could do whatever the actual height was minus 2, or sorry, divided by 2. So we could go like 24 pixels, right? Which kind of looks okay, but not really, right? Especially if anything changes. So as an example, we have padding, right? And that padding is going to be kind of weird here. So we have var dash dash 125. So this is our weird one where we're using that 10 pixels instead. And for left and right, we're going 400, okay? 32 pixels. So if we save that, it still works because it's about 48 pixels tall, right? But what happens if we accidentally add more space to this or make it really big, right? It's going to look very ugly in a hurry. And so what I recommend is don't use a fixed measurement. Instead, use a calc, okay? And then capital I infinity times 1 pixel. Infinity times 1 pixel is still infinity, but you need to get a measurement on there. Otherwise, this isn't going to work, okay? Save it. Now it looks exactly the same, except no matter what happens to this button, it will be perfectly rounded ends, okay? So we'll always have this pill shape. Doesn't matter. We could change the font size of this to be ridiculous and it would still work, okay? So that's a little bit of a trick for that. I need a couple more things in here, okay? So the first one is going to be padding, okay? We have that padding. It is going to be, sorry, not padding, border. We need the border, okay? Not 1 pixel, but 2 pixels, and the color, okay? Now here we could leave the color off, and it would pick up on the background color. That makes it invisible. That's not really what we want. So we should set this deliberately like this, okay? And then from there, we have our hover. So if I grab this, bring it down, paste it in, hover, and 2 things here. We need the background color to be transparent. There it is, yes. And the color to be white. So now, if we go and look at this, we should get something that works. Now, the final bit for the text of the card, the links, the text, all that stuff, we need to figure out how to get this to the bottom, okay? We need to figure out how to get the link to the bottom of the card. And the way to do that is to not put it on the bottom. Instead, we want to put it on the bottom of whatever this is. And what I mean is we want the margin end, okay? The margin bottom for the paragraph. That way we still get our natural height for mobile views, for smaller views, but when we are here, this will help drive it down to the bottom. So here's what that looks like. We jump to the bottom of the text file. Lots of jokes there, but we use has, okay? And inside of has, we can go, does this have, is whatever this is, you can add a star here if it helps, okay? Whatever this is, if it is followed by an A, okay? So we really only have one, but you could also put this as like a P tag, okay? By default, it defaults to the star, so I've done it like this. But if there's an element that is followed by a link, by an A tag, then we want margin block end, okay? And we want to set that to auto. And what this will do is it will do this. It will force the link down to the bottom, okay? As far down as it'll go. Now remember, this box is 500 pixels tall, right? So if I bring up my dev tools, right here, when it resizes, and you can see that it already does that, then now there's only enough space for the contents, which means that my regular margin takes effect. Okay, it just works. It works magically. So really good stuff going on here. That leaves us with the color, okay? At this point, we just need to color it, and then maybe a couple extra bits just for Frontend Mentor, and we are squared away, okay? So, getting rid of this for a second so that we can see the magic happen, okay? Dot card, okay? It's exception time. So, data dash card dash type, just like this, equals primary, okay? And we are going to add in 2 styles. We have the card right here. This one, just to keep it squared away. And we have the icon, which is path fill color, okay? Again, naming things is hard. So if you want to pick a different name, you can, okay? Right here, that card is going to be var -- primary background primary. And then here we have the icon, which is var -- primary icon. Excellent. Okay. Go and do it 2 more times. Bang, bang. Change this primary to secondary, and then tertiary. Okay. If I'd been smart, I would have used multiple cursors to change the colors as well. So this is also secondary, and this is also tertiary. Okay. Nothing's going to show up because we haven't used this. So right here, I'm going to grab this whole thing, copy it back to the HTML, and right here on article, where that flow is, multiple cursors for the win, jump to the end, add a space, paste it in, and then change it. So our first one is primary, our second one is secondary, our third one is tertiary. Okay. Save it, going back, bang. Okay. And if we look at this, it should be pretty close. So back to the code, open this up. Lots of other things showing up here. That doesn't matter. But images, not images, design, desktop design, open with CleanShot X, just like I do before. Crop it down and pin it. Okay. So right here, moment of truth. It is pretty close. Okay. Remember, we had to do some work to get the fonts right. So they are going to be a little bit shaky, but everything else is so close. Again, some of this is because of decisions I made. I'm pretty sure that this was like 11 pixels or something like that to get it to fit right. And then the sides were probably like an extra pixel on each side to get that. But this is a place where I would go, hey, designer, what do you think? Okay, I tried to stick within the pixel grid, tried to do all the things that we normally do, right, to make really solid designs. Is this acceptable, or do you 100% need this to be the exact size that you had in the design? And I'm willing to bet that most designers will go, you know what? Actually, it doesn't look too bad like that. That is okay. Okay. There is one more thing that I want to take care of, and then we will wrap it up. Okay. So now that this is in here, if you look at the file, okay, right here, this whole card has a height of 88 pixels, and down here it is also 88. So top and bottom are 88 pixels, left and right are 24. We took care of left and right, but top and bottom, not so much. Okay, so I think if we resize this again, let's go over here really fast. And yeah, you'll see that the top is here. But if I go and set it to 88 pixels, it won't look right on Frontend Mentors. And what I meant, Frontend Mentor, sorry, it's not plural. What I mean by that is if you're looking at this, okay, the top has more space than the bottom. Top has more space. I was playing with some icons. Top has more space than the bottom. Okay. So if we grab this and we go and look, the top is 171, the bottom is 129. But on mobile, it needs to be 88 on both sides. And so what I did was I took that into utopia.fyi, okay? And I created some responsive sizes. Right here, pasting them in. So you will see that I used 88 for the small size, and then whatever the big size was. And you can see there's that 171, 129, okay? All is kind of good there. And then from here, I took these and I sent them down to my challenge wrapper. Because again, my challenge wrapper, I only created it so that I could center stuff very easily when doing these challenges. I assume that there's always going to be stuff in professional work wrapping around this, maybe headings or other things going on, right? So I'm probably not actually using this, but For here and now, if you want it to line up as close as possible to Frontend Mentor, okay, then you must change this, okay? The first one is going to be that that big one, because this is the top, so 88 to 71. And then we grab that again, copy it, move it right to the end, and this is going to be 129, okay? So we have made a small adjustment that really is only here for Frontend Mentor, okay? If you don't do this, things don't line up. It's kind of annoying. It's also rewrapping, but we can ignore that part. So right here, now I have that space on the top, space on the bottom, looking really good. If I open this up, you'll see that I have, let's make this a little bit smaller, okay? Maybe a little bit smaller still. I have more space on top than I do on the bottom, which is kind of hard to tell right here, but it's absolutely the truth, okay? Maybe I can do it here. So this is, I mean, I'm zoomed out, but 111 and 90, okay? And that's it. So let's review here, okay? We started off by breaking the card pattern. I decided early on that because of how some of the spacing works, especially this link, I did not want that. And what I want really now is to turn this off, okay? But I decided early on that in order to control the space leading to between this paragraph and this link, I needed something different. Otherwise, I'd have to do Flexbox for everything, the container and then the contents, and it just gets messy in a hurry. So I didn't do that. Instead, I just made the container Flexbox and put everything inside of it, including my image, okay? I made the image inline SVG so that we could color it. We could do the thing. We had to make some adjustments to some of the fonts because the original fonts are no longer available. So we had to do that. And then, of course, the button, making sure that all these colors work. And in fact, if we, because of the decisions that we made with the icon, right? If we go up here and I paste in some new colors, you'll see like some pinks and purples and stuff like that, okay? I can very quickly change this and it all still works. The icons feel lighter than the backgrounds. The colors are still there. I don't know if the contrast is there or not, but this challenge wasn't really about the contrast, okay? It was about getting the layout right. And then, of course, everything is responsive, right? So at some point, we make it smaller, and it just snaps. And an important thing there is that we didn't need any breakpoints for that. We were able to use this handy-dandy switcher based on something called the Holy Albatross, and it all just magically works, okay? That's it. That's the whole thing. I'm going to go back to my code. Let's comment this out really fast, save it, refresh it, make it a little bit bigger. Excellent, okay? That brings us to the end. Again, did you find anything interesting? Did you find anything surprising? Would you do anything different? Okay, I want to hear all those things, so hit me up in the comments. If you haven't, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.